The time is 1827. The territory is Kansas. Confederated tribes of Kaskaskia, Peoria, Weah, and Piankashaw Indians, forced by national policy, make their way west. They were in search of peace, a haven, and on the way, they find this place, and a community was born. His name was Baptiste Peoria. He was a trusted advisor and interpreter to the many Indians in the area. He became one of Paola's great benefactors. With Isaac Jacobs, A.M. Coffey, and Dr. David Likens, Baptiste Peoria began the Paola Town Company, and Paola, in 1855, was born. And this is the story. To these wooden fences would run Indian children, amazed at the horse races their fathers would organize around Paola's Park Square. Baptiste Peoria made sure that Paola would remember the great contribution of the Indians that came here first. Her streets were laid out, running in beautiful columns east and west, and each one named after the various tribes of Indians that lived in the area: the Weah, the Piankashaw, the Shawnee, Chippewa, Ottawa, Miami, Osage, Peoria, and Kaskaskia. Paola itself was named for an Italian Catholic priest named Father Paola Ponsiglione. He was a horseback missionary who ministered to the Indians in the area. Settlers were in search of freedom. They were in search of opportunity. They were building America. And by the thousands they came. Some found their dreams here. Others continued west. People, families, and investors like J.W. Sponable, civic leader, banker, and industrialist. He was typical of the many people who came to Paola seeking a better life. As our small town grew, it did so on the backs of commerce. Businesses grew by the dozens, providing necessities of life. And in doing so, Paola began to evolve into a center for all who live near or pass through. Along with expansion came patrons with a particular expertise: lawyers, doctors, teachers, preachers. In fact, the square would become the hub of Paola. Here, her businesses flourished. Here, her people shopped, visited, gathered. Here, Paola grew. It was a place where a man could be free to provide for his family, earn an honest wage, unlike other communities not so far away. During the Civil War and in times afterward, Paola even saw its share of soldiers, some only passing through, but many called her home. Paola bustled, her streets full of horse-drawn carriages, the livery stable full of men conversing and preparing for the day, while the streets surrounding her overflowed, carriages beckoning to be pulled. The year 1870 would bring great change to our town. This was the year the Kansas City, Fort Scott, and Gulf Railroad came to town. And with the train came those things trains carry: culture, art, music, books. Paola was filled with amusements. In fact, the train helped bring one of Paola's most storied businesses. The James Patterson Circus called Paola home in 1911. They wintered here, and the Patterson Circus traveled throughout the United States and into Canada. Imagine seeing elephants and tigers and bears on the square. Well, for years, that was a regular occurrence. In 1855, petroleum products were discovered in Paola, and along with the discovery came the need of a variety of businesses to support it. In 1890, an oil refinery was built to handle the oil. In fact, Paola, in the late 1800s, was the first city west of the Mississippi to have natural gas. Another feature of Paola are the many homes and buildings designed by renowned architect George Washburn. Among them is our own Miami County Courthouse. Paola had one of the finest schools in eastern Kansas. The Kansas Normal School and Business Institute was built in 1872. A normal school was actually a school for the training of teachers. Paola has always been a place of faith, and her churches have helped make her great. Even today, you'll still feel the fruits of the labor of the people who built this town. Like every town, Paola faced disaster too. This fire began in 1909 in an upper room of the Schumann Building, a building that still stands in Paola today. On September 28, 1918, at the Piker and Shear Building, just north of the Commercial Hotel, Paola's people responded to disaster. With the turn of the century came the automobile, and the automobile brought with it change not only to America, but to Paola. Fancy new motorized carriages brought wonderment to her people, created new trades, and allowed new influences to reach our community. And the car brought jobs. Cars came over the horizon. Roads were built. Speed limits were imposed. Paola was on the move. Paola, Kansas. She's 150 years old. Simply put, it's a special piece of America. Paola has a rich and colorful past. What we are today is most certainly the results of our roots. There are so many things to see and do here, and today we're celebrating 150 years of fascinating history and looking forward to many chapters yet to be written.